Hi guys, and welcome to this very quick little advice video. So today I'm going to show you a really simple trick for getting any of your warped watercolor paintings back to being nice and flat. So I've got this commission that I did recently, a beautiful pet portrait in watercolors. As you can see, the page has buckled quite significantly. So it's not too bad. You could just put it straight in a frame and you'll be fine. But just in case you decide that maybe you want to flatten it out before, or perhaps because I'm sending this out as a commission, I'd like to have it nice and flat for the client to receive it, I'm just going to go ahead and flatten out this page. So you're going to need a few things. So of course you're going to need your painting that's all warped and buckled. This one, it is quite bent. It is somewhat kind of buckled, as you can tell from the back. There's this kind of wavy pattern, wavy texture to the paper. It could be worse, but it still could be a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead and fix this one today. You're going to need two flat objects. For this, I've got two old chopping boards that I've repurposed as painting boards. The reason I suggest two, especially if you've got a small painting, is so that you can actually kind of carry these things around as well. So you don't have to just find somewhere like a flat surface, like a desk or somewhere that you can put your painting and leave it. You can always then move it by putting your painting between two boards, and then it becomes more portable. So obviously this is quite a small painting. So luckily I only need two small chopping boards for this purpose. So next you're going to need some kitchen towel. This is going to be mostly for protecting the painting itself, but also for absorbing any moisture which will be a part of this process as well. And lastly, you're going to need some water. So this, I recommend having a spray bottle because you can get a nice even mist. You can also use, if you do wish, regular old water, so out of a jar, and a sponge brush. So I'll show you a sponge brush. So if you've got one of these, this is really good for helping to spread out the water. I do recommend a sponge brush. It kind of helps to absorb any excess water as well. A regular brush could be used to help evenly spread out the water if you wish. But a sponge brush, they're nice and cheap and they're easy to get a hold of. So to get started, what you're going to need to do is take the first board. So I'll take this one here, pop it down. And then I'm going to lay out some kitchen towel on the board. So this is just to basically absorb any excess moisture and to protect the surface of the painting. So what we're going to be doing is spraying the back of the painting with water. We don't want to damage, obviously, the painting we've already made. So by having just a nice surface that basically kind of keeps the painting in place, it stops the painting sliding around and stops the painting from kind of smudging if it does get slightly wet. Take your painting, you're going to flip it upside down, and you're going to place it gently on top of the kitchen towel. So for this next stage, I recommend holding it down as much as you can, holding it as flat as possible, just to prevent any kind of moving or shifting of the painting if it does get wet in this next stage. But you're going to take your water and you're going to very lightly spritz the back of the painting. So I'm barely putting any water on. I want to cover the surface, but not too thickly. If you do decide that you want to make it smoother, this might be a good chance to bring in a brush like this one. And you can just evenly spread out that water across the surface. So just spread it out, make sure the coat is nice and thin. Continue pressing and holding that painting in place, like so. And then once that water is spread out, take another sheet of kitchen towel, lay it down over the top, gently press down. Now finally on top, I'm going to lay out your other chopping board. This one has got kind of grooves underneath, so I'm actually going to flip it upside down so the two flattest sides are next to each other. Just going to gently press that down. Make sure that those pages and that paper is nicely sandwiched together. I do recommend adhering some weight to this, so applying something heavy over the top is always a really good idea. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some books. I'm going to put the books on top as well. I've got a few books here. I've got some nice large heavy ones, and that's just going to apply a really nice set of weight on top of that board. and will help smooth out that painting. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to leave this painting for potentially up to a week. It might take less time as well, depending on your climate. If it's quite a warm climate, quite a dry climate, it might take only a day or so, or a couple of days. But I do recommend, no matter how long it takes, is that you check it regularly. So I'm going to put this nice and safe out of the way for now. And I'm going to come back and check it in an hour, just to make sure that the painting is okay. And then I'm going to leave it for 24 hours. I'm going to come back tomorrow and I'm going to check to see whether it's dry. I think it's going to take longer than 24 hours. So I will check it just to make sure everything's okay. And if it's, say, particularly still wet, I might replace that kitchen towel. So do bear that in mind. I do recommend checking it regularly just to make sure that it is drying and that it is kind of flattening out. And you'll know when it's dry. Basically, if you leave it, one way of checking is taking the page out and letting it kind of sit for a bit. If it is still quite wet, it will start to curve and warp again. So it is worth checking just to make sure that it's completely done before you do anything with it. So guys, I'm just going to go ahead and check on my painting to see how it's getting on. So I'm just going to take off everything that's heavy, remove the board. So it's all kind of sticky. So things have dried out quite nicely. You may find that when you're picking it up, especially if you've left it for a while, the paper might stick together with the kitchen roll. So you just want to kind of carefully peel that off to have a look at your painting. So this has been left for about 24 hours. I can see that it's flattening out really well. So you can see already that there is none of that warping, none of that buckling that was there before. It's ever so slightly damp still. So I'm probably going to go ahead and put it back and leave it for another day or two just to make sure. I will change this paper just to get rid of any moisture that's there and replace that as needed, just to help it dry a little bit quicker. So you can see it's nice and flat. Probably won't need that much longer left under there, but just until it's dry. Before then, you run the risk of, especially if it's still slightly damp, run the risk of it warping and buckling back into like a curved shape. So I just want to give it the best chance possible. But that's all you need, guys. So I'm going to return this back to being nice and flat. I'm going to put some new paper down. But if this is the final stage for you, if you find that it's nice and dry, then that's it. That's all you need to do. You just leave it there, keep it nice and flat between some kitchen roll and some flat objects, and you will get rid of all of that warping, and that painting is good to go. So look at that, lovely and flat, lovely and smooth. And there you have it, guys. Really simple, really straightforward little tip. It can save all of your paintings, especially if you've got like particularly warped ones that you want to get rid of all of that buckling, and you'll be able to make sure that your paintings are nice and flat. So I hope you find that useful. Let me know in the comments, is that something you're going to try now? Do you have any other tips? Let me know. I'd be glad to hear what advice you have for helping to flat out your paintings. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Really simple, really easy, straightforward guide on how to flatten your paintings. See you next time. Bye, guys.